Hello, everyone. I am very honored to be here today and be part of the Bitspiration Festival. It's my first time here, so thanks for having me. Yes, so I'll be making in Silicon Valley. I'll be speaking how to create win-win situations regardless of location, networking, and challenges any entrepreneur faces in fundraising. My name is Kamila Dmowska. I am an entrepreneur and a fashion designer. I started making money when I was 12 by selling Avon cosmetics. My parents were laughing at me that time because obviously there's no need for me to make money that early, but I have so much fun and I've always been involved in a lot of activities as a kid. I moved to San Francisco 4 years ago without not knowing anyone. I told my friends 3 weeks before that I was moving there, and they all thought I was crazy. San Francisco is the last place that has something to do with the fashion, but I always thought myself as more as an entrepreneur, and I want to be in a place for entrepreneurs where I'm understood and surround myself with people I like. A couple of months later, living in San Francisco, I started selling my collection that I brought from Poland at the boutique on Fillmore. Fillmore is one of the best luxurious streets in San Francisco that sell high-end designers. I walked to a couple of shops and I found the shop that carry a lot of high-end designers, and I talked to the owner that they should buy my collection. She's, in the beginning, I brought her my lookbook. She only liked 2. And I said to her that I think that the whole line will match her merchandise pretty well. She said no to me. And she said, let's just bring 2 dresses. What I did a few days later, I brought the whole collection. And she was like, oh, I really love it. So what happened, within 2 months, we sold out the whole merchandise, and this also gave me a lot of confidence that what I'm doing sells. And I was watching customers, where they were from. They were from Palo Alto, Chicago, Italy, and I decided to move forward and become an online retailer. I hope that I am, for you guys, an inspiration today, and also an example that you can do anything, regardless of location. Speaking of, stop doing what you should do and start doing what you want to do. It's one of my favorite quotes that come from Silicon Valley show, produced by HBO. How many of you have seen the show? Okay, well, it's hilarious, and it reflects the startup culture in Silicon Valley pretty well. It's hilarious, and to be honest, I've seen a lot of situations happening. Silicon Valley is a very special place. It's things are moving very fast, so once you move there, you're gonna learn a lot of things. But it's hard for a lot of people. From someone who comes from Poland, for someone who comes from Chicago, even for Joe, that he comes from Miami and he went to one of the best schools in a country. So a lot of his friends already are building successful companies in the valley. One of them has been telling him for a couple of months, hey, Joe, you have to move to the city. So Joe is packing himself, he's moving, he doesn't know that many people. He's constantly going out, asking his friends where he should go. Sometimes he doesn't respond, but he doesn't care, He's keep reminding himself all the time, just this attitude that he's going forward all the time. He's very friendly. He go to happier events, house parties, that there's a lot of them in San Francisco. So you just go there, you talk to people, you're friendly, kind, and there might be a lot of new friends, angel investors. You're not pitching them right away, but you become friends with them because down the road they might become your maybe investors, and you just build your network in this way. Networking. So Silicon Valley versus Poland networking. I'm very happy to see a lot of companies coming to San Francisco. We have a lot of great entrepreneurs, especially engineers, that are very hardworking and talented, so we need them. And San Francisco is one of the kind because it's a place where you have the most angel investors and VCs in the whole world in one place, and accessibility of its successful alumni base and their willingness to have the next new wave of entrepreneurs, it's crucial because those VCs and angel investors, they used to be entrepreneurs, so they went through a lot of things just like us, so they understand us. And it's nice that they exist. I mean, a lot of people that you're gonna meet in the Valley, more than half of them failed many times, so they become very strong and humble. So speaking of Joe, yeah, he goes to a lot of parties, he's being friendly, he creates his own luck. He's not waiting for people to tell him what to do. He goes to coffee shops, work from them. The chances are probably higher when he will be working from coffee shop that he will interact with people versus staying home and hacking in front of the computer. I understand you need a few monitors to do that, but just if you have a chance, a couple of times a week, if you're moving to the San Francisco, or even if you're in Warsaw, I hope you have places like that here. Just work from coffee shops. It really helped me a lot. I've noticed when I work from places like that, my work got 70% better. I'm very friendly. San Francisco made me this way. When I also go sometimes to New York, which is very different, I constantly talk to people. So some of them probably think I'm crazy, but I just love meeting new people. And coffee shops are great places for me to be. And even if you're in San Francisco, you'll see like how many people pitch to each other every day. You'll see like some entrepreneurs working on idea. You'll see on the other side entrepreneur pitching to investors. So you want to be there. And again, like create your own luck. I actually didn't introduce my company before. Maybe I'm gonna say. What we do. So my company, we make luxury basic dresses for women, and we sell them online. We are based in San Francisco, but we manufacture our clothes in New York. So yeah, I can pretty much anything. And we work with one of the best manufacturers that other high-end designers rely upon, that are sold at the Bird of Goodman, Neiman Marcus, Barney's. And one of them is Misha Nunu, that she's a successful designer. She's a CFDA winner. She sells her designs at great boutiques like Bird of Goodman, Neiman Marcus, I said that. And we also share the same manufacturer in New York, so I could easily meet her, but she never goes there. Obviously, she has a lot of people that work for her. So I started work more in the city from coffee shops. Obviously, I have a merchandise at home. I mean, on my like studio, and also we ship a lot of things from New York. But I walk a lot. And I actually ran into Misha Nunu in San Francisco on a dirty street, Market Street. It's like downtown, not the best part of the city. So she was walking, and I couldn't believe my own luck. I decided not to take a taxi, but walk, and I ran into her, and I was like, hey, I know you. We share the same manufacturer, and it was almost like, you and I are almost the same. And I started talking about my company. And she really liked the idea what I'm working on, and then I asked, hey, I really love you. I mean, I really respect and love what you do, and I think we have a lot of similarities, and maybe you can become my advisor. She said yes. So I was like, I help myself. I'm constantly being in the places that might not be very helpful. I mean, even if you're like, even if I'm in a fashion designer. I'm not gonna be participating in a New York Fashion Week, but maybe I'll go to parties later and meet some people. That'll be very helpful. So networking is a lifestyle. You always have to be on the go and constantly meeting people, and have this attitude that you can meet people anywhere. And just be kind to everybody, be friendly, and talk about your ideas, what are you building. When I came to Poland, it was 2 years ago, my friend, he knew that I live in San Francisco, and he had an idea of creating a golf app. And he said to me, hey, I have this idea, I'm working on it, and I just want to talk to you because I think that I need an engineer. And I said, what's the idea? And he said, okay, I'll tell you, but don't tell anyone. And I said, well, you know what, it doesn't matter because the idea is only worth like $2 or $5. What really matters is like how you're gonna execute it. And you needed people to be your company. It's very hard to be an entrepreneur or build a company by yourself. You need more people effort behind you. So I also mentioned here bragging is good. What I meant is just always good to share. Don't be shy. What are you doing and what are you like passionate about? You can always talk to people what are you doing because you're not gonna know and they will not remember, like maybe they will help you. So I often share a lot of things on my Facebook, personal Facebook. I have my company Facebook page, but I always share my any small, big success through my Facebook. And maybe some people are like, oh God, she doesn't have a life. Again, she shares something, but I love what I do, and some, maybe like 1% is gonna be very helpful, and introduction happen to be faster because a lot of these people, they don't really like follow my like page every day, but they always will see like, oh, okay, she's doing well, she's making progress, so I'm gonna introduce her to investor. If I would not put anything, it would be harder to explain and took longer time, what I'm doing and what I have done lately. So time is money, you use it wise. Surround yourself with people you love and respect. It's never get old. It's very true. Nothing feels great, if you have a great group of friends who really believe in you and they see like how passionate you are. If you have friends that you don't connect well, do not get it. Sometimes they criticize you. Like some critic is good for you. Like some of my friends are like that, which I really appreciate. One of them is Titus. He criticized me a lot, but I don't mind. I like that he's doing it. When he has to give me a kick, I accept that, and I do the same for him because he really cares what I'm doing and believe in me. But if someone is very mean for you, like move on, don't hang out with them. They are wasting your energy, and that's not something what you want. And speaking of, if you have a friends that they really believe in you and they are supportive, and you need the support later, trust me, it's gonna get very hard. They might become your future investors or maybe even co-founders. So in the beginning, when I moved to San Francisco, I've been hanging out, I've been very lucky. I've always loved smart people and surround myself with them. They come from very different backgrounds, and none of them actually work in fashion. They are computer scientists, early employees of Facebook, and I very value their feedback regarding my company that has nothing to do with the fashion, like what about a strategy, like thinking outside of the box. So I asked after a couple of years my friend that he's one of the smartest guys I know, if he could invest in me, and he said yes. Maybe I would never think about him because I would never think that my friends would invest in me, but he's like, I've seen your progress, I really believe in you, and I think you're great, and so have those friends, share with them your bad days and good days. You need them, and make sure you have some time for your friends and respect them. And also don't waste your time. When you ask anyone for an introduction, if it's for investor, press, anything, always offer help in exchange. I always, if someone is doing a favor for me, I ask them how can I help them, if there's anything I can do for them. I often send thank you notes. Sometimes I send flowers, especially for women. It's something very personal. But I like doing it, and I think it's always great to receive flowers. And so when you live in San Francisco or even in Poland, and a friend of you is asking you for help, if you could introduce them to the investors that you have maybe on your Facebook friends. What do? You don't introduce them right away. Just think about it, why you should ask your friend why you should introduce them. because maybe there's someone else in your network that might be more helpful. So you don't risk this relationship that you have already with the friend investor. You want to make sure it's right, you know, like the both parties will benefit. Yeah, and listening is very good. Get as much as feedback as possible, and also get some critic. But you don't have to. You don't have to take all the feedback and use it. It's up to you. You know, there'll be always something that it's worth like listening. And there's a reason why they say that. Fundraising. A measure of startup success is not fundraising. So I've been living in San Francisco for 4 years. I've seen companies raising 25 million, 10 million, and after 2 years, you've never heard of them. No one should judge a company based how much they raise. You know, it really doesn't matter. Some companies are getting too much money. I think that in many ways it's not that good because they feel very comfortable and they spend the cash easily. It's actually good to have very little money, so you become more scrappy and hungry. And you know, it never gets easier after you stop fundraising. The nature of problem change, but the worry never decreases. The shit happens every day. You have new challenges, they are different. You know, the founder of this small startup will worry about new challenges, but also the founder of the Google will have the same thing. So it's not like he's laying on the beach and doing nothing. There are a lot of problems every day. So just because you raise money, it really doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's gonna help you, obviously, but there are so many companies that they fail. So really, I do not get excited every time that especially when you go to parties, someone says like, oh, we just raised 25 million. I'm like, okay, you know, that's fine, great, congratulations. And you know, fundraising should never be in a marathon. Don't make it last for it's very hard to raise money, but don't postpone it. Sometimes the companies are taking a little bit of a break because they want to focus more on traction, but don't talk to investors like, hey, we might talk to you 5-6 months. We are not in a rush. No, it's a bad sign because they think you're not serious. So it should be a sprint. If you have a couple of co-founders in your company, make sure one of them is working on fundraising and the rest is working company, you know, the business operations, so the whole company doesn't stop. Investors talk. The founder is more important than idea. Who agrees with that? What do you guys think? Yes, it can be. There's a lot of people in Silicon Valley, a lot of investors invest in great founders because the ideas changes all the time, and you have to be flexible and willing to change your vision very fast if things are not working. And usually it's not working the way how you want. So I love Paul Graham, and I quote him here. He was the founder of the Y Combinator, one of the most successful incubator for technology based in Silicon Valley. He said that, which is very true, someone who knows zero about fundraising but made something users love will have easier time fundraising than someone who knows every trick in a book. There's a lot of tricks. I would not waste your time. If I were you, I would not waste time on that. You know, there's nothing cool when you're very passionate about your company, you know, your users well, customers, and you just speak with a passion. They love that. And they've been like you before, so the energy that they feel from you, it's very contagious. So just don't spend your time on learning the tricks. One of the tricks that I really like is schedule all meetings in advance. What I mean by that, if you talk to investors, you approach them by friends, talk to them through email usually. Hey, let's meet in 3 weeks, you know. So they think, okay, well, it looks like they're busy. You know, maybe they're talking to other investors. And in this way, if you talk to all of them this way, you will have all the meetings in the third week that will focus only on fundraising. Versus having 2 weeks this week, another another week 5, all meetings maybe 40. You'll have 1 week. It will be better, maybe also, and all investors talking to each other. They'd be like, oh wait, you talked to this guy? We are talking to him as well. So that's one of the tricks that is very good. And always, when you approach investors through your friends, I found Facebook very useful, not LinkedIn. I always see how many mutual friends I have with the investors. If it's 8 mutual friends, I don't ask anyone. I always make sure like, oh, okay, maybe this one of the friends on Facebook has a lot of pictures with him. It looks like, they are very good friends. Or maybe one of the guys in our mutual friends is a successful entrepreneur that he invested in him. So I probably will ask him for an introduction. Maybe I'll become friends with him. Maybe I'll hang out with him, and that will help me at least to get a meeting. Because if someone does not know them well, and they asked investor if they would like to meet with you, they probably will say no, or they not even respond. So make sure that you do the right introduction, you ask the right people, and don't send a cold email. It's the last thing to do. And as one VC put it, I'm not hard to find. I know a lot of people. If you can't find some way to reach me, how are you going to build a successful company? I've heard a lot of no's, but I keep trying, So yesterday I left Pałac Kultury. I was walking to the hotel, I was rushing, and there was this guy walking after me, and he said, hey, are you a speaker? He's Polish. And I said, yes, I am. And he asked me if I want to grab a beer with him, and he would ask me a couple of questions. I said, hey, I'm really rushing, I need to do some work, but maybe next time. But I didn't know, if I'm going to meet him. Then he's keep walking with me and asking more questions. And he's like, hey, what about even this place for like some, coffee? And I'm like, no, I'm really rushing. But he was just so driven and asking interesting questions. And one of them is how to work, how to get hired by one of these companies in Silicon Valley. Just sending resume, and obviously not. You're gonna send your resume, even if you went to top school, it's not gonna help. I mean, might get you the meeting, but it just doesn't mean anything. There's so many people in San Francisco, they come from they have Ivy League backgrounds, but sometimes they're not a culture fit in a company. So it might be helpful, but it doesn't they might not hire you just because of that. So he was very persistent. And what I told him yesterday, that what he should do, he should email the company in San Francisco and tell them what he can do for them. Just write them that maybe they do something wrong, you can do better, just say it. They get tons of emails every day with resume, and they don't have time to read them. But if you will say what else you can do for them that is interesting, they'll probably be like, okay, we like this guy, Maybe he was very thoughtful and interesting, and they will likely call you. He asked me a couple of times if I can see him for coffee, and I thought that he's gonna make it because he's very driven, and I said no to him a couple of times, and he was not giving up. That's the right attitude. Challenges. There's a lot of challenges for everybody. For people that they have a couple of companies in Silicon Valley, they're starting again. There are challenges for people that come from Poland. There's a visa issue. You have to manage your time wise. Don't go to many parties and drink beer. Don't get too drunk. If you go to a party, use your time wise. Make sure you also have some time for your friends. You wouldn't be there without them. Rent is it's crazy. It's expensive, but you can find the ways. Maybe you're gonna move with your friends and stay on a couch. Believe me, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are super successful, are billionaires. They have done that. They slept on the floors for a couple of months. Even during the Y Combinator, they come from very different backgrounds. So not many people come from money that come to San Francisco. So there are a lot of challenges you have to juggle, the rent, your starting company, customer acquisition, and the money that you don't have. You're trying to do fundraising, visa, and also co-founders. You're looking for them. Maybe you have some of them. There are some issues. You guys cannot get along, so make sure you chose your co-founders carefully. I would recommend literally dating them. Don't just become co-founders with them just because they have some skills that you need. Make sure you like them. It's not working. I was about to finish. Well, conclusions, I was about to say that startups are not for everybody. It's gonna be it's very hard. It gets lonely, even if you have a couple of co-founders. But in the meantime, when you really care about something, nothing is more powerful. If you care about something so much, people will do as well. It's contagious. And it's not a school where you get grades. There are so many founders that come from Cornell, Harvard, and they fail. And they are so used to winning all the time. They get amazing grades, but who cares? Your idea is not working, customers not love your product, it sucks. So you're not getting grades for that. We have, thank you, we have a lot of companies that, they just failed. And they are frustrated because they are constantly used to being praised a lot. Those are the valuable resources that I put for you. I love the Sam Ahmed that I mentioned before. He's right now a partner at the Y Combinator Hero Place program. He's one of those two guys are my favorite entrepreneurs. They're extremely smart. I have the Forerunner Venture is a great venture capital that they invest in e-commerce companies, great brands. And there's also First Round Capital, another venture. They have an amazing blog. You have a lot of updates about companies, what's going on, any acquisitions, and the both sides of the table started by the entrepreneur. I think he was VC as well. He gives a lot of tips to young entrepreneurs. So I like to read them, and I hope you guys like the presentation, and I hope that you will will come to San Francisco, and just don't be afraid. The worst thing is being afraid, and just stop doing what you should do and start doing what you want to do. Thank you.
Kamila, Dmowska, everybody, and we've actually got quite a lot of time. So if anyone has any questions for Kamila, yeah.
Hey Kamila, thanks for the talk. So I'm wondering, how would you approach someone if there is no direct mutual benefit for talking, the other person talking to you? For example, if you want someone to be your mentor, but not necessarily your advisor.
How would I approach if I have no friends in common with them? There are always a way. The world is such a small place. You always you can find a way who he's friends with. Even if you have 0 friends on Facebook, ask some friends still. Like, who do you know this guy? I will make a bunch of emails that day and say, hey, I really want to talk to him. I think he's amazing. I often even talk to investors like that. Like, I think you're great. That's what I want to talk to you, because you are so successful. You have amazing companies, and I think that we can, do something cool together. So just be don't afraid. They really like people straightforward, and they can smell that you're really serious about your business and meeting them. Yeah, and they also appreciate compliments as well, as anyone.
Yeah, thanks for the talk, Kamila, very interesting. Just to comment on what Chris asked about how to approach people for mentoring, it's a comment that it's really good to be respectful of people's time. That sometimes people come to me and say they want to meet for a coffee, and they don't say why. But like if you've looked at their background, you say, well, I see you did this business, and I think you could help me with this. I think many people will find like half an hour or 40 minutes. But if someone just says, let's meet for a coffee, or even here people say, can we have a meeting? And I said, well, we're meeting now. It's like if the guy can't explain why we're meeting, why he wants to meet later. So I think it's really good, and if you're intelligent enough to see the other person's time as valuable, that's also a really, really good, good kicking off point.
So I always say like, hey, I want to talk to you about something, or I would like to have a sounding board with you, and would you be able to meet for 20-minute coffee? Not like an hour. No one have time to make a 20-hour coffee, or maybe a phone call, just for like 10, 15 minutes.
Hi, Sam Cook. I know Richard from Krakow. Another thing that I think one of the best tips that I got on networking was before you ask for something, offer value. So even before you say, hey, can we meet for coffee, like maybe you have an idea that could help them. And you don't do it as like a quid pro quo, I'll help you before but it's just like give a little bit before you get. And especially someone who's a lot higher stature, a lot of times it's better because they value their time to pique their interest with something. You might have an idea or an introduction or something to help them with. So.
Yeah. I have a friend that she said to me, she's an actress. A lot of businesses and interaction with people are alike. If you're in San Francisco, if you're an actress, and she sent an email to like a very famous actor, he didn't respond. Well, people are very busy and forget about emails. Email him again. If he doesn't respond, email him like the third time, maybe in a different way, and he will finally notice and get back to you. I'm sure like all of you sometimes forget about email, so there's nothing wrong to remind yourself, but always be kind and gracious and tell them like how valuable it will be for them to meet, for you to meet them, and just be honest and don't be angry. No one likes angry people.
Just a tip that Sam said offers something of value. A great thing to call any entrepreneur is to say, I think I've got a client for you. Almost every entrepreneur is interested if you say, I think I've got a client. And some people it's better to get them on the phone than email. And a great thing then is to just go to Google, type in their first name, their second name, and press release, because quite often entrepreneurs put out press releases where they give their mobile phone numbers. So that's a kind of growth hack. You get their phone number, you call them up and say, you don't know me, but I think I've got a client for you, and then you'll get the coffee.
Yeah.
And just to back up what Sam said a moment ago, no, I'm not famous, but I networking is a central part of my work. But I would say if you don't have a client to offer them, just do some research before you storm in asking for favors. Find out, profile the person, see what they want, see what they need, and then try to deliver it one way or another. And then they are going to be your friend for life.
Good luck with that.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, it's Titus.
Titus is my lawyer.
Yeah, so my question to you is you're very successful in the Valley, and you have great traction with women who buy your dresses. So where do you see yourself in 3 years, and how are you going to make big money for all of the investors that put money in you?
Well, we want to bring the cash in for sure, but we want to become a global brand, and it takes time to. The brands takes time to build, so we also want to make sure like we are growing fast, but in a cautious way, and we want to be one of the places, one of the best places that women come and buy their basic dresses every day. That they. Come for us to buy for the quality and fit, versus going to Zara. We actually never had a return since we launched. I know it's crazy. Yeah.
Okay,
you know
we're
my
gonna
numbers well.
Kamila Dmowska, everybody. Thanks very much for coming. It's really cool.
Thank you.